For those of you blessed enough to not know who this piece of shit is, Dennis Prager is a rather large conservative figure. He is a conservative talk show radio host, but you may know the organization that he founded, PragerU. You may have seen some of their videos, or at the very least have been recommended some of their videos. They're basically a bougie, capitalist, conservative propaganda machine, but we're not going to talk about the organization here. We're going to talk about the man behind the organization, Dennis Prager. I came across this the other night on Twitter, and I was like, I just have to respond to this because this is truly a gem. A gem for all the wrong reasons, of course, but still a gem regardless. Anyways, with that said, let's begin, shall we? Don't judge character by private talk. Okay, alright, let's see what shit Dennis Prager pulls out of his ass this time.
My point is not Trump. My point is not what he said. My point is this. I don't care what people say privately, nor should you. That is not an accurate indicator of a person's character. Is that clear? Private talk is not an indicator of a person's character. There is no one alive who, if everything they said privately had been recorded and then allowed to the world, could not be made to be looked like a terrible person. That person doesn't exist.
Alright, so that's already a crock of shit. If one has to say something privately as opposed to publicly, and it's something that they know they would be called out for and scrutinized for, yes, I would say that is an accurate indicator of what a person thinks. Let's just say I have this seemingly really, really awesome friend who is nice to me, says all the things I want to hear to me when they're around me, but when they're talking to someone who doesn't even know me and they know that I'm probably not going to hear the things that they say, they shit talk me, say all these kind of nasty things about me. And I've had people like this in my real life too. I would, if I ever caught wind of this, and I have in the past, I would gladly cut that person off from my life, because why the fuck would I want someone like that around me? Why the fuck would I want to associate with someone like that? Someone who is a complete snake like that. Someone who is nice to my face, but when they're in private, they would gladly shit talk me because they can't say the things that they really feel about me to me directly to my face. It is just pathetic. And of course, this doesn't just apply to friendships. This applies to a lot of things. Let's just say that someone is a big time bigot. They hate LGBT folk, they hate minorities, anything of the sort. If they express how they really feel about those people to the public, they would be rightfully scrutinized for their viewpoint. So they talk to people in private, people who are more than likely like-minded, because why the fuck would they express how they feel to someone who would severely disagree? But anyways, they would talk to someone who agrees with those viewpoints and privately, and they would express how they really feel, because when they're talking in private, they're much less likely to be scrutinized for how they really feel, as opposed to if they share these viewpoints in public, they would rightfully be flamed alive for how they really feel. So that is why private talk is a accurate representation of how a person really feels about a certain topic or a certain person. I don't really get how this is a hard concept for you to grasp, Dennis, but apparently it is. So that is why private talk is a accurate indicator of what a person really thinks. Because if they say how they really feel publicly, they would probably be scrutinized for how they feel. So they just discuss these things in private. Again, it is a simple concept that you have such a hard time grasping, and I don't know why.
The whole point, or a point, of private talk is to vent, is to feel free to vent, is to say silly things, is to say gross things. I don't think that should be the great majority of your conversation, obviously, but that is one of the elements of private talk with friends, with a spouse. I mean, think of what people have said. I always give my example of, you would think I hated every group on earth if you heard what I say about bad drivers. Whatever group the bad driver is in, I hate that group for that minute. Men, women, this ethnic group, this religious group, it doesn't matter.
Oof.
Of course, but because it doesn't mean anything. It means nothing.
So, you just gladly admitted in a public live stream that bad drivers temporarily makes you a bigot. Yeah, yeah. I don't see why anyone would think you're a bigot after this, Dennis. Well, I already thought you were a bigot prior to this, but this just kind of solidifies that viewpoint because if a bad driver, if they're a person of color or any certain group that they're LGBT or they're a certain religion, I don't know how the fuck you'd know that if they're just some random driver that pisses you off on the road. But let's just say that is perfectly clear to you. Uh, if you would gladly discriminate against that group that certain person is in, then yes, I do think you're a bigot because no normal person would automatically be like this towards a bad driver. Oh, this bad driver who was black cut me off in the road. That fucking N-word. I'm not gonna say the word, obviously. But anyways, if you're gonna automatically discriminate against a certain bad driver's group, yes, you are a bigot. Because again, normal people don't think that. Normal people don't automatically start discriminating against certain people when they're angry. It, so yeah, thank you, Dennis, for just admitting right there that you're a bigot. And no, you're not temporarily a bigot like you're trying to make it seem like here. You are a bigot because again, if you automatically start attacking a person's identity, a person's ethnicity, a person's religion, anything of the sort, just based on the fact that they're a bad driver and pissed you off on the road, yes, you are a bigot by definition. And this obviously doesn't just apply to sorry, my foot fell asleep. I had to move it. This doesn't obviously just apply to bad drivers. This applies to anything. If someone pisses you off in a video game and you start throwing slurs, you start discriminating against a person's skin color or anything of the sort, of course you're a bigot. Like, you're trying to brush it off like it's not a big deal here, but it obviously is. It's obviously a very big indicator of the kind of person that you are, Dennis. And again, just thank you for sharing this information for all of us because it just solidifies the notion that you are indeed a bigot and helps make people's case against you that you indeed are a bigot. I don't really have much to say here aside from wow. Just fucking wow. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.